Welcome back to the 24 Days of Personal Branding Challenge. It's day 24 and the final day of this challenge. Now that you've created and embodied your personal brand, you might be wondering what's next. Today, I'll share with you what's next for you and for PrettyAF Powerhouse and for me. I am so excited to have gotten through this challenge. When I originally launched it, it was meant to be a 24 days of Christmas leading up to Christmas challenge, and every lesson took a lot more time than I was expecting. But I think the end result is something much more powerful, impactful, and helpful. So I think it was worth it taking longer to go through the challenge to make it what it is now. And I'm really excited that now I have this resource to be able to help you and people in the future to be able to build their own personal brand and go through step by step of what to do. And it's a completely free resource on the podcast and within the challenge. So I'm really excited about that and excited for who it can serve in the years to come, because all of it are things that will continue to be relevant. I've created things in the past that have been geared more towards like social media, and 6 months after I created it, it was no longer relevant. So I'm excited to be able to have this and offer this and know that it can continue serving people for a long time, right? So let's go through my list of things, updates, what's next. If you've gone through this challenge, if you've been struggling to get through it, what's next for the podcast, what's next for my business, what's next for me, what you can expect. That is this episode. So this is the last episode of season 3 of the PrettyAF Powerhouse podcast. And I'm so excited that we're on episode 146, and that we are moving into season 4. I don't have a set time or date when season 4 is going to launch. It might be in a couple of months. It might also not be until 2025 next year. I am going on maternity leave from basically mid-September until the first week of January. So I'm not going to be working in my business. I'm not going to be working with clients during that time. I've talked to a lot of mental health, different people specializing in pregnancy, and gone to a bunch of newborn classes, that kind of thing. And the kind of consensus I've gotten is that the more time and space I can give myself during that time, the better off me and the baby will be after that time, right? So that is my goal, to really be present, especially during those first few months, and not also be stressed about trying to lead a program or put out new episodes or anything like that. So I'm honestly leaning towards just relaunching, coming out with season 4 next year. Otherwise, I would be pre-recording episodes, and I almost feel like it could be good because it is not just me not putting out anything, but then also it might not totally align with where I'm going now. So that also, and I feel like it might be kind of rushed as well. So right now, what's next for you is probably what you're really interested in versus my life story. um, so if you've been following along with this challenge and you've implemented everything and you're embodying your personal brand, you've created it, you love where it's at, and you're like, okay, I've done the thing, I went through the steps, built my personal brand, embody it, completely use everything that I've put into it. What is next? Like, what is the next step to then elevate my online presence, position me as a leader online? For me, the next thing would be to focus on being consistent on social media. And the way that I like to do that for personal brands is I break up the types of post you should post into 4 different types. So I created a ebook and a mini course called 111 Social Media Prompts for Personal Brands. It'll walk you through how to figure out those different posts, and then it'll also give you all of those different prompts so that it's really easy for you to actually implement the strategy, right? So in my link tree now, I've included a link to that program slash ebook that if you're at that point, that is definitely the next step that I recommend. If you have struggled to get through all of these trainings, all these lessons, or it's just overwhelming you, or you've gone through it, but then you've gotten stuck at different parts and you want it to be able to ask questions or have more accountability or support through it, then my new offer that I'm working on is going to be for you. So that one, I haven't fully created it yet. My goal is to, leading up to maternity leave, I'm going to, in the background, be really spending my time creating that. My goal is to create the best personal branding program in the world. Might not get there the first round, but I'm going to build it right now, launch it in the beginning of 2025, and continuously improve it and make it better until it is the best one in the world. So I'm going all in on that. And if that's something you're interested in, if you're wanting more support with your personal brand and you don't need it right now, if you're willing to wait until next year, then definitely sign up for the free challenge, which is also my link tree. And once I have more details on this and launch either the sales page or the wait list or whatever I decide to do, you will be one of the first to be notified. So if that's something you're interested in, be sure you've actually signed up for the challenge so that you get those emails and updates for the first round, because of course it's going to continuously increase in price. So if you join me the first round, it will be at that kind of founder's rate. Let me see. I think that's everything for that. So that's kind of what I recommend next for you if you've been going through this challenge. Either you're ready to hop into social media and you can grab that program, the 111 social media prompts for personal brands, or you want more support with your personal brand. And then I would recommend just joining the challenge so that you get the email when that program actually launches next year. So what is next for me? I am, like I said, creating that new program, and I kind of want to give a little more background to why I'm doing this. I feel like I've done both where I was trying to go all in a program when I first started my business, and like 2018 is when that program came out, and I really started my business in 2017. So I launched a program that was called the Digital Academy of Social Media. And my goal in it was to teach stay-at-home moms how to manage freelance social media clients, because that's what I was doing. And I realized it would be a great way for stay-at-home moms to be able to stay at home with their kids. And that was always really the kind of driving force behind starting my business, is that I wanted, once I had kids, to be able to be home with them and be present with them and not be going to a in-person job. And it's kind of cool because it's like a full circle moment that now I'm pregnant and I'm gearing up for my maternity leave, that all that work that I've been putting in is now paying off, and the reason of why I've done what I've done. But when I launched that program, it was my first program and I was very new, and it was a huge program. And it was super valuable. It had a ton of information, value, that kind of thing. But it was hard for people to get through the whole program. And I kind of just veered away from that completely and got into creating these smaller programs and launching them very quickly. And I felt like I was burning myself out because I was continuously creating new things, things that were very valuable, but there was a lot of overlap as well. And I just felt like it was a lot of work continuously. And when I was looking at what I wanted my future to look like and things that I wanted in my business, it wasn't to be constantly having to reinvent the wheel or create new things because I felt like I had to. And several of the programs that I've purchased recently are from people that really have 1 to 3 main programs, and they mainly focus on their podcast, and they point that podcast to those main programs. And they have done that for years and years and years. And every year, every month, they continue to help more people doing what they do and continue growing their business without having to go in and continuously build something new, right? So that was when I went through and purchased several of those. I was like, they make it so obvious that this is the next step versus every month it's like something new that you always kind of feel like you're missing something. You're missing the next step. And I saw it from their perspective too, that they weren't creating something new. They were just making that one thing or 3 things eventually really amazing and making it better every time. And I know for some people, they love creating new things, and I do too. But I also get burnt out. And especially now that I'm going to be a new mom, I expect my time and availability for my business to be shorter, even with just my pregnancy. I literally used to work 12-hour days, 6 days a week for years and years and years, and just being pregnant, the exhaustion, I can't do that physically. I can't. So I don't expect once I have the baby and I'm taking care of them and I'm not sleeping through the night and I'm breastfeeding, I don't expect to be able to get back to that point, and nor do I want to the point of working that much. But I still want to grow my business. I still want to serve female entrepreneurs. I still want to make an impact, a positive impact in the world. But I want to do that in a way that doesn't require me to work that much. And I think sometimes I look at like someone that I know I can help, and I'm like, there's a billion things I could help you with. Like, I can help you with your personal brand or your digital marketing or your offers or your launches or this and this and this. And that's great. But I right now would rather get really, really amazing at helping them with just their personal brand and getting that transformation without it dragging on, without it being like especially with podcasts, or if you go to like a seminar or something like that, there's so many things you could do. And throughout the podcast, the challenge, I've pretty much given you step by step everything you could do. But to then take that and actually implement it when you're probably also listening to 10 other podcasts with things you could do, it's really hard to then decide like, okay, well, which of these things am I actually going to implement? So it gets very overwhelming and confusing on what to actually focus on. And I felt like a long time that I was taking little bites out of a lot of different people's things, but I wasn't getting anywhere because I wasn't implementing their full system or the full strategy or fully going all in on something. I would kind of dip my toe into a strategy or a way to do it or a platform to show up on. And then I would be like, well, this person says I should do this. So then I would jump over here, abandon what I was doing. And I'm so much more in the boat now of creating the circumstances of what you actually want versus feeling like other people know better what you should be doing. I feel like there's a lot of different ways to be successful, and that is a great thing about the times now, right? But because of that, I feel like it's more important than ever to pick the way to do that that is going to serve you the most and that fits what you actually want versus you're doing it because so-and-so told you that that's the way to be successful or that's the way they do it. So that's what you're going to do. I think with everything in your business, how you market, how you build your personal brand, where you decide to show up on social media, what kind of offers you create, any of it can work. You just have to be consistent with what you're doing for it to work. And the thing is that I feel like I got caught up in a long time is a lot of people try to position things that this is the fastest way to success. You can implement this in 30 days, you're going to blow up your income and bring in XYZ. And I feel like for a long time, I would hear those things and I would jump ship and I would go all in on that thing. And then I wouldn't get instant results. So then I would jump to something else or jump back to something I was doing before. And then when I didn't get instant results, I would jump again. And I think that has hurt me so much. I look back and I'm like, if I had just picked the platform I want to show up on, picked the offer I want to focus on, and I had been doing that since even 2020, 3 years into my business, I would be so much further along now than if I were to continue jumping around like that. And that is why I'm okay with right now slowing down, pausing things like the podcast, and really figuring out that one offer that's going to be about building your personal brand, making it incredible, and then building content, the podcast, and probably also my Facebook group community to support that, to support those goals. And then to know that I'm just going to continuously get feedback from the people that go through it and make it all better and make it better every single launch. And then that way, I feel like once you have that baseline of income and presence of how you're doing your marketing, then you can have fun with putting out different offers, and it won't be putting them out in this kind of desperate energy of this has to work right now. Otherwise, like, I don't know what I'm going to do, you know? So, but I also know and expect for me to create this offer and really build it up to the point that I want it to, and build up my podcast to the point that I want it to. I'm planning on spending the next 5 years focusing just on that before I even think about adding fun, random things that I'm going to do, right? Because I want it to a place that is streamlined and that the income, the leads, everything is very consistent before I start spending my time, now that it's even more precious. I feel like that I want to spend it on the right things versus getting shiny object and spending time on things that aren't ultimately going to help me get to where I want to, or that, because for a while too, I was thinking I wanted to create, or I would focus on like getting clients, like one-on-one clients. And that's great. You can make money really quickly that way, but you have to constantly be chasing the next client, is how I ended up feeling about it. And whole side story, I went through building a team, realized that wasn't for me, building an agency. So, I mean, certain things, I guess you have to go through and just see how it actually is before. There's a weird noise and I don't know what it is. Oh, I got a message. Certain things I feel like you have to just go through and realize what it's actually like before you'll know that it's not the right thing for you. And I guess that's part of what I did. But now I feel like I'm very clear on where I want to go and what makes sense for me at this point. Also, what is, I wish that would stop. Let me see if I can get that to stop. Okay. There we go. Hopefully. Also, what is next for me is prepping for the baby. We have our gender reveal this weekend, and we'll find out the gender. And then we've been going through the classes and all to help learn about the baby and what to expect and all those things. I've never really been around babies, and neither has my fiance. So we are both trying to learn as much as possible before that time comes. But there's like a lot to go into it, especially as a first-time parent, and so many things to learn and to buy. It's a lot. Also, we are painting and updating my office and podcast space. So since we bought our current home, one of the reasons we chose this house is because of the walk-in closet one of the guest rooms have. And because I wanted to turn that into a podcast room. And we hadn't done that yet. Clearly, this is in that actual office, not the closet. But I want to have this space still, but then I'm going to redo it and paint. And then I also want the podcast closet space to look different. So then when I'm recording a podcast or doing one of the lives that's going to turn into a podcast, I'll have a different background than when I'm doing like calls or maybe lessons in my programs. So working on that. But also then if I wait to relaunch the podcast in next year, I will for sure have that all in the space and all that. So excited for that. That's always fun. And then, like I said, just prepping for the launch of season 4 of the podcast. And yeah, so I feel like right now a lot of like a coaching program I'm in is ending. Certain projects I'm working on are ending. I'm really planning on wrapping everything up mid-September so that I can take that full time off. So between now and then, I'll be building out this new program. So it's a lot of things ending and starting new things and relaunching things that will be so much better, and really focusing my time, because now that I'll be basically just working when the baby is sleeping and not even for the first couple months, that really kind of made me reprioritize building my business in the way that I've been wanting to build it, but I just haven't made it a priority because certain things have been working. And when there's a million things I want to do. So I feel like until there's like, okay, this is the thing you need to focus on right now because this is coming up, it's really hard for me to go all in on certain things and focus on them because there's just so many things I want to do eventually, right? So I think that's all that I have for now. I do want to do a second trimester recap episode. But at this point, I still have a month left. So I don't know if I might record it to use it later on. I might do that just so that I have it. And then when I relaunch, I can have that. And then I wanted to do a trimester 3 and what they call trimester 4, right? The first 3 months after. So I'll probably just record them and release them once the season 4 comes out. But that is everything that I have. I hope that this series served you, opened your eyes to different ways to position yourself online. Um, it I definitely poured my heart into this, so I hope that it helps the right people on their path to building the business and the life that they want. Um, and I'm excited for what's to come and excited for the new season, the new offer, the new baby, lots of new things over here. And I'm kind of okay right now with taking my time creating it. One of my mentors always says, slow is the space, is the pace that greatness grows. And for a long time, I feel like I was trying to rush through things um, and get to where I wanted to be as quickly as possible. And now I'd rather just do it right and get there when I'm meant to get there, um, than trying to rush through it and having to go back and change things. So that is everything I have for this episode, for the last episode of season 3. If you've never left me a review on the podcast, that would be an amazing gift to me while I'm on maternity leave, um, to continue to help the podcast. um, but I will see you in season 4. Bye.